Like every time, this time too there was hope that something special would come out from below. But the continuous failed drilling attempts have broken the team's morale. Even after several weeks of hard work, there was no concrete result. This is why today has probably become the most disappointing day for Parker Schnabel. Parker and his partner Liam had decided on new drilling points in the East Valley. Based on old stories and some indications, they felt that there might still be some treasure left in this area. But one empty drill after another weakened their hopes. Will Parker turn this around, or is the East Valley a lost cause? Subscribe now to follow their journey and never miss the next big discovery. Now, it is not just a matter of finding gold. Now, the question is whether their investment of millions of dollars and months of hard work will actually lead to any result. Now, they need a place where gold is found continuously and in stable quantities, otherwise the whole plan may be questioned. Sometimes the real challenge is knowing if you're on the right track, not finding gold. That's the question that's been posed so far in the East Valley drilling. After thousands of dollars and months of hard work, the results have been negligible. Parker and his team began drilling downstream with renewed hope. But morale sank as one drill after another came up empty. The team's strategy was based mostly on old stories and geological guesses that had no solid scientific basis. Now, those guesses are being questioned. One drilling did find a small amount of gold at a depth of 100 feet, but the cost of extracting it was so high that it was proving to be a losing proposition. The same work at a site like the Klondike would cost 5 times less. Every step is proving costly. Large and complex equipment, like core barrels, used to reach the depths of the ground, and then tubing to secure it. Not only are these technically complex, they are also costly. Each time the soil is excavated, the team's hopes rise. But most times, all they get is wet clay, silt, and scattered rocks, hardly a trace of gold. Fatigue, mud, and uncertainty. This is the daily reality for those searching for hope buried underground. Amidst long hours of digging and constant failures, it is the occasional glimpse of gold that gives the team the strength to move forward. On a recent dig in a narrow valley, a tiny sparkle from 100 feet below made everyone stop for a moment. When the tiny gold dot appeared in the dim light, a little relief was clearly visible on the faces of the team. A short while later, another very fine piece was found from another place. Excitement increased, but the harshness of reality soon returned. After collecting these pieces, a team member took them to a mobile processing unit, which everyone calls the gold room. This is where all the debris is sifted through, hoping to find something solid. But the reality is that this process is accompanied by fatigue, constant hard work, and the burden of hope. As sand and stones swirl in a pan of water, it is extremely challenging to catch the fine particles, such as gold dust. Each movement has to be measured, delicate enough to keep the gold, but strong enough to separate the useless material. This is the real test of this work, where patience, hard work, and experience are the most important tools. Each day began with the sound of machines and boots soaked in wet mud. The team knew it wasn't easy, but over time, the work was more mental than physical. Bending over water for hours, sifting through pans of sand, a daily routine that was now replaced by exhaustion. Finding gold was still possible, but the finer the particles, the greater the challenge of catching them. The particles would slip away in the gentle flow of water. Something was there, and then nothing. Before each batch of cleaning, there was hope that maybe this time something good would come out. But when the results came up again and again, Disappointment was evident on the faces. Bending over to pick up sand, turning the pans with their hands, each movement was now taking a toll on the body. Still, no one spoke a word. Everyone knew that if they stopped, whatever little gold was left behind would probably be lost forever. Thinking this, everyone continued to work quietly. The eyes of the man turning the pan were now more concerned than hopeful. Each glimpse of a particle glinting in the water proved to be another hoax. Nevertheless, they tried again and again, with a silent hope that perhaps the next pan would make a difference. "We'll have to raise it a little higher, and also make sure that the wash plant doesn't shut down for too long." Every morning the work began with the same hope. Maybe today the land would yield more. But the reality was the same again and again. There was plenty of soil, but little gold. The place was always strange to the team. They were here for a short time, exploring a geography that was thousands of years old. Each time they lifted a pan of soil, there was a quiet hope that maybe this time they would find something. The work was no longer new. Digging, washing, sorting, it had become a tedious process. There would be a spark every now and then, but that excitement would turn into exhaustion again in a moment. No one noticed the beauty of the surroundings anymore. Cold water would fill their shoes, but they didn't stop. Sometimes there would be a quiet moment when they would lift their heads and look at the mountain or the river, remembering what a beautiful place they were working in. They weren't just looking for gold. They wanted to know if their hard work and investment would really return anything. The search had now turned into a human obsession, an obsession to test oneself, the land, and fate. Over time, they learned to come to terms with reality. Hope was not as high as before, but it was not completely dead either. Whenever a small glimpse was seen in a pan, the excitement returned once again, as if something big was going to be found in the next dig. But this was a harsh truth. The search for gold was not just a test of technique or hard work, it was also a test of patience and luck. And when it came to going to a new place, every discussion was equally hopeful and doubtful. Would the new area really change anything, or would it give the same result? When, despite weeks of hard work and deep digging, nothing significant came out of the soil, a tough decision had to be taken. Now the team had to pack up their machines and hopes and move towards another valley. This decision was based more on faith and experience than statistics. This is what often happens in the mining industry. Even when there is no concrete evidence, work is carried forward on the basis of possibility. When hardly any gold was found, even after digging to a depth of more than 100 feet at the previous location, it became clear that stopping further would be a loss-making deal. Still, the team did not give up. Preparations began to start work on the next site. Every new drilling point is like a risk, like putting a big gamble at stake. But the team was used to it. This is a business where failures are many and successes are rare. The amount of gold sometimes comes out even below the minimum level, which is considered economically profitable. That is, 200 milligrams per ton. This gap clearly shows the gap between the team's expectations and reality. Despite this, the work did not stop. The drill kept running, the ground kept breaking up, and the people's morale remained intact. Because this work requires more trust than machines. When the ground remains silent after a long day of digging, the team turns its attention to the final test drill. The entire plan now depends on the results of this one hole. Previous experience shows that a little bit of gold is sometimes found in such areas, but it is not an indication of a continuous gold line. Often it is just a few scattered spots that do not raise much hope. When a drilling finds 50 to 100 small particles, the team's morale rises for a while, but it soon realizes that the gold is not uniform. These particles are spread in a very thin layer across the area, which requires a lot of hard work. Working in such places is not easy. There is constant digging, flooding, and sometimes even frozen layers of ground to deal with. Unless the ground is exceptionally rich, all this hard work is hardly worth it. There are some small deposits of gold in some places, indicating that there may be something better to explore deeper down. But most of the time, the team is disappointed. In this remote location, gold seems to be playing hide-and-seek. Less is visible, and more is hidden. Still, every time a drill is put into the ground, there's a little hope. Maybe this time, luck will favor us. The most difficult task before working in any mine is to decide where to dig. Something similar was happening in Smallwood Creek. The team drilled in many places, took out many samples, but the results were not as expected so far. Every excavation in the search for gold is like a gamble. There is no guarantee, no fixed limit, just hard work, expense, and waiting. It was the same here. Every time the drill went into the ground, the eyes of the team were fixed on the soil and stones coming out of the machine. Will something be found this time? So far, only small particles or sometimes a small piece had been found, which boosted morale for a while, but then the same truth came out that there is no big gold deposit here. The land of Smallwood Creek is hard, there is a lot of water, and the weather is also not always favorable. The team has to think at every step whether to move forward or not. Rechecking the data, understanding the previous results, and using the resources correctly, all this is the basis of this decision. The work here is not just physical, but also mental. Will the next digging be more fortunate, or will it only lead to more losses? A decision has now become necessary at Smallwood Creek. Stop or move forward. It is time to face the truth. When millions of dollars are at stake in a mine, every next step becomes a carefully considered decision. The biggest question the team faced at Smallwood Creek was, would it make sense to continue drilling? It wasn't just about data or machines. The geography was difficult, and information was limited. Interpreting all the data that was collected was a challenge. Identifying the right signals was difficult. Every possibility was murky and risky. For Parker, this wasn't just a business decision. It also involved environmental responsibility. If mining were to begin, the impacts wouldn't just be limited to this season. The land, water, and local environment would be affected. The decision meant a huge consumption of resources, and it would only be justified if the land really yielded enough gold to justify everything. The decision going forward had to weigh not just the benefits, but the costs and the impacts. Once the machines start, it is not easy to stop working, but every step is also associated with risk. Uncertainty remains in every process, from drilling to collecting soil samples. Nature never gives direct answers. Its language is in signs. The team started preparing to sift the gravel, but the real challenge was not just to find gold, but to understand how much value everything found in that soil had, and what impact decisions related to it would have. This was not just a game of profit. Here decisions were being made that affected the environment and the surrounding community. Every new digging, every soil test started a new reaction, the consequences of which go on for the future. The team engaged in this work had to read every sample, every information carefully, because it is possible that one particle can decide the direction of the future. When money is at stake, every inch of drilling becomes a question. Is this place really worth anything? The drilling going on at Indian River is no longer just a mineral extraction effort. It's an effort in which every bit of data, every sample, and every meeting is crucial to future decisions. It's not just about gold, it's about responsibility. The Parkers have spent nearly $200,000 so far, drilling in 8 different locations. But the results are disappointing. Gold is being found, but only in small quantities, not enough to cover the cost. The issue is that most of the gold that is being found is hidden in narrow, deep formations, difficult and expensive to reach. Occasionally, there is a little sparkle, but even that is not regular. Costs are rising, and returns are lagging. The situation is getting serious. There's about $3 million at risk on the land. The team is focusing on samples that show the slightest promise. But at the end of the day, even the best samples may not be able to reach the required scale. After weeks of hard work and huge costs, the team was now focused on one drilling site, one that showed little promise. Sample reports indicated a modest amount of gold, and the team was discussing whether the site could hit 200 milligrams per ton, the minimum threshold that justifies moving forward with a project. But that hope soon collided with reality. Are you sure you want to go down 100 feet for just 32 milligrams? Parker's question was logical, but it also tinged with disappointment. Gold was being found, but not in enough quantities to justify the trip financially. It wasn't a complete failure, but the results were not satisfactory. The financial pressure was evident. It's not like we're getting completely empty holes. We're getting something, Parker said, as if trying to comfort himself. He added on a lighter note, "To be honest, there are probably more fun ways to spend $200,000, Liam. But it's good that it's going to you." Eventually, when there were no real signs of significant gold, the decision was made to stop drilling. Further investment did not seem wise. Parker joked, even in the gloom, maybe buying a helicopter would have been more fun at least. When things start to slow down in the mines, the first thing that changes is the sound of the machines, and an unspoken anxiety begins to settle in. It was under these circumstances that Mitch took over while Parker was away from the site. Mitch said that Big Red was still working fine, but his biggest concern was no longer gold, but the lack of land. The sites they had been working for months were now nearly empty. Though Mitch's words were cautiously optimistic, his face clearly showed that he was concerned with the dwindling gold results. The machines kept running, the dust kept flying, and each day seemed like the last. "When Parker comes back, we'll take a second look," Mitch said, as if there was a last hope left. Each passing day, without any solid gold, reminded them of how risky this work was. Not just the machines, but every man involved in the work. Everything was at stake. The process doesn't just break ground, it also exhausts expectations, the body and the mind. And when Mitch praises the work, saying, "The setup is good, the plant is working fine, just needs some adjustments," there's satisfaction and also anxiety about what's ahead. The question now is it really worth doing all this for potential money that isn't guaranteed? Every mining season brings with it tight deadlines and financial pressures. This time, Parker Schnabel took a big step, investing in a new advanced wash plant. A risky but strategic decision based on years of experience and data. The transition was not easy for the team working in Dominion's money pit. The old machine, Big Red, had completed several successful seasons, and removing it was emotionally difficult. But the new machine has the ability to process more soil quickly, and that could be what makes or breaks this season. During the machine's first test run, a serious leak was discovered, halting work and putting the site at risk. The rush of water could have damaged not just the machine, but the entire operation. In this challenging situation, Parker quickly diffused the situation. showing that mining isn't just about machines or gold, but about balancing decision-making and risk. Now the question is, will this new wash plant live up to their expectations, or will it turn out to be an expensive lesson? It wasn't long before the new wash plant began operating, but initial technical difficulties emerged. When production slowed, Parker began testing the system himself. It was soon discovered that there was a problem with the water pressure. One of the spray bars had a short pipe, causing water to escape faster than necessary and pressurizing the system. The cause of the problem was a loose fitting and a short hose clamp. Wasting no time, Parker switched out the spray bar and instructed the team to immediately fit new nozzles to spread the water evenly, spreading the soil better and making processing easier. This initial setback was a clear indication that a learning curve was inevitable with new machines, but it also proved that the key to this job was quick decision-making and immediate action. Time constraints and changing weather conditions were putting pressure on the team. The remaining season was limited, and every gram of gold now mattered. This was why getting this new wash plant running at full capacity was going to determine the future of their entire season. Before the new machine could be put to full capacity, another technical problem cropped up. A loose hose clamp caused a water line to burst. The incident highlighted just how complex a wash plant is, where a small glitch can halt the entire system. It affects everything down below, so the plant has to be shut down immediately. The team quickly identified the problem and closed the bypass valve, preventing further damage. If they can deal with these early problems, the plant could be back to full production soon. After facing a series of challenges, when the machine finally started processing soil, the entire team felt a sense of relief and satisfaction, a milestone that made all the hard work worthwhile. Parker, who always has a down-to-earth mindset, was satisfied with the new machine's capabilities. Although some technical improvements are still needed, he believes the new facility could reshape their entire strategy in Dominion's money pit. This plant is much larger than Big Red in both size and capacity. The trommel screen system installed in it has greatly increased the speed of soil sifting. As the soil passes through, the heavier particles, i.e., gold, are separated from the lighter ones and collected in the system. When a mining project involves a huge investment, every step must be considered and balanced, especially when the existing wash plant is idled and targets have not been met. Parker's team has so far extracted only 400 ounces of gold, worth an estimated $800,000, far below expectations and a concerning figure. In a high-stakes area like Dominion Creek, where Parker has already invested $15 million, the lack of results early on adds to the pressure. That's why he's turned to new, more traditional methods. One solution he's come up with is to direct the runoff from the deposit to the wash plant. A novel approach that shows that creativity is a powerful tool when the going gets tough. Meanwhile, at the Money Pit site, the team continues to work on removing snow and ice. To make the 24-acre pay dirt workable, they're building a network of drains around it to keep meltwater away from the soil and allow the surface to dry faster. This isn't just a mining operation, it's a strategic battle, where every mistake can cost millions, and every success can change the course of an entire season. Slowly melting beneath the frozen ground, some glistening clay was visible, a sign that things might be changing. Taking this small hope seriously, Parker decided to immediately start a secondary wash setup. To do this, he used a simple sluice box that was divided into two parts, which the team jokingly named Slucifer Twin. This was a turning point. For the first time, material from Dominion Creek was being processed in a wash plant, a move that was the first attempt to test the land's true potential. As the first truck carrying material pulled up to the plant, the team's faces were both hopeful and anxious, waiting to see if this new site would actually yield gold. The story then briefly turns to the Unforgiven Cut, another mine where the team extracts the last remaining gold. But the hopes there are unfulfilled. Instead of the expected 500 ounces, only 489.5 ounces of gold are found, adding to the financial pressure. Amid this stressful environment, however, comes a ray of hope at the money pit. 132.5 ounces of gold are recovered from the soil in the trench area, which not only exceeds Parker's expectations, but also gives a new boost to the morale of the entire team. The initial success at Dominion Creek was a ray of hope for the team in the midst of a difficult search for gold. Although challenges still exist, this initial result revived the potential of the land. On a lighter note, Parker jokingly suggested naming the new wash plant Bob. A small smile brought comfort to the tense atmosphere. The whole experience perfectly illustrates the risks and potential rewards of gold mining. It shows how Parker is willing to stick to his decisions in the face of unforeseen circumstances and try new strategies, whether traditional or not. The team's reaction was also interesting. The excitement was evident on everyone's faces when a strong return was made. Someone joked, "Is that the season's best? Run it again." And one team member was praised, "Oh wow, great job, Chris." In between these moments, a crucial discussion also takes place. Is Parker's multi-million-dollar investment really going in the right direction? The conversation brings up the strategy of ditch mining, i.e., extracting gold from water and loose soil. This method is risky, but it can prove effective with limited soluble soil. Also, the role of backup wash plants like the Slucifer Twin is important, because even when the main plant is shut down or under maintenance, work doesn't stop. This ensures continuous operation, which is a big deal in this tough industry. In the mining world, when every move is weighed against money, time, and expectations, no decision is easy. Parker Schnabel is taking a big gamble in this tense environment. Work is progressing rapidly at the Dominion Creek site. A brand new, specially designed wash plant is being built with the goal of processing 25% more mud than the old Big Red. If all goes according to plan, this single plant could extract about $1 million worth of gold this season. Parker has set a tough goal for his team: to have the new plant fully operational by the end of the week and remove the old system, Big Red, to make room for the new machine. Although the machine is new and still in testing, despite initial technical hiccups, Roxand produced far better results than the old system within just 2 days of starting work. The target of 5,000 ounces of gold set at the start of the season has already been met. Now, with the addition of Roxand, the target has been raised to 7,000 ounces, worth about $14 million. Each number, 130, 150, 200, 160, 180, is a sign that Parker's new plan is working. A round report of 21.9 ounces strengthens the hope that this new direction can indeed yield results. One thing emerges clearly from this entire episode. It's not just machines or money, but strategy, communication, and timely tough decisions that take a mining project forward. This episode highlights that mining is not just about digging, it's also a game of thinking and courage. When a machine stops working on a major mining project, it's not just time, but millions in profits that are at stake. Parker Schnabel understands this well. That's why when their main wash plant was delayed, they quickly pivoted to an alternative solution, temporarily renting Wayne's wash plant to avoid a major risk. This wasn't just a machine arrangement, It was a smart move to save a large operation and ensure future profits. Parker and Mitch's partnership and decisiveness came to the fore when it came to resource allocation and team management. The way Mitch extracted more than 575 ounces of gold in Parker's absence is proof of how an experienced and adaptable team can adapt to circumstances. Mitch's trust in the team working in Alaska also demonstrates how important communication and trust are within a team. When Parker knows the people behind him are acting responsibly, he is able to focus fearlessly on the California site, where he plans to take production to the next level. The conversation between Wayne and Parker is an example of how there is room for collaboration, even in a competitive sector like mining. Both have different needs, but both understand that a partnership can benefit both. I don't think Wayne is trying to get us into a crazy deal for a big buck. I think he's looking for a fair deal, one that works best for both of us. In mining, when machinery stops working, it's not just time that's lost, it's prospects, investments, and even production lines that are at risk. Making decisions at such times is never easy, but Parker Schnabel made a pragmatic choice. When their wash plant experienced technical problems, they looked to Wayne's idle machinery, an opportunity that could turn out to be a win-win. Not only did Parker gain a replacement plant, but the deal also demonstrated how creative thinking and effective communication can solve even the most difficult of problems. For Wayne, it was a chance to make money from machinery that had been sitting idle. The deal proved to be a great example of understanding each other's needs and sharing the benefits. Parker's team also proved that even when the plant was down, it could keep working without stopping, an ability that is essential to any large mining project, where every hour counts for gold production. Although the story focuses primarily on the search for a wash plant, it also reveals many other aspects of the mining industry. The importance of logistics plays a big part in this. Getting equipment on time is the backbone of maintaining production. The delay at the plant shows that even a small disruption can shake up the entire operation. Also, the role of technology cannot be overlooked. Equipment like the wash plant is a symbol of technological innovation in modern mining. Also, the conversation between Parker and Wayne shows that major deals can now be negotiated through remote communication, and the mining industry has fully embraced this change. The success of any mining project depends on how the team makes the most of resources and applies new technologies to the ground. Parker Schnabel adopted this principle when it launched its new high-capacity wash plant, Roxon. The plant could process more soil than Big Red, and the team was initially excited. However, several problems arose in the first week. Processing was interrupted, and water leaks were frequent, which dashed initial expectations. It became clear that adapting the new technology to the site conditions was as important as introducing it. Meanwhile, team member Mitch took matters into his own hands. He closely tested Roxon's performance and found that the large spray bars were not washing the soil evenly, causing runoff and processing problems. To solve the problem, Mitch suggested installing flared nozzles on the spray bars to spread the water flow more widely and clean the soil more effectively. This would have two benefits: water savings and the ability to more efficiently separate gold from the soil. Parker's leadership and trust in his team is evident throughout the operation. When he focuses on his Alaska project, he makes sure the team is ready and able to take over in his absence. Partners like Mitch ensure that work doesn't stop, solutions are found and moved forward. The real power of any mining project is not just the machines, but the team that understands them and can make improvements in time. Taking Mitch's suggestion seriously, Parker gave the team the go-ahead to implement the changes. Work on the wash plant began immediately, and expectations grew at the same pace. As you can see, the plant is really struggling, The material is overflowing. Not a good sign. The changes soon paid off. Improvements to the spray system helped control the mud flow and improve plant efficiency. After overcoming initial technical difficulties, Roxon now performed better, proving that the experienced team has not only the experience, but also the understanding to solve challenges. A comparison was then made between Big Red and Roxon. While Big Red extracted about 370 ounces of gold per week, Roxon extracted 723.8 ounces of gold in a single week, worth about $1.4 million. Although there were some early setbacks, these impressive results show that the investment in new technology was well-intentioned. The whole experience reiterates that risk-taking skills, trust in the team, and timely decisions are the foundation of any mining project. When there's a potential of $120,000 per day to earn in a mining season, every decision carries extra weight. Working with a massive wash plant like the Roxon is not just a technical challenge, but a financial one as well. One small mistake or disruption can throw off the entire production target. The episode ends with viewers excited and curious. Will the Roxon keep up? Will this season become the most successful mining operation of Parker's career? It's clear from Parker's words that he's still trying to figure out how the new plant works. I'm getting used to the new plant now. Tyson and Mitch, I've installed a conveyor that dumps the heavier tailings. That means I can now go to pay from longer distances. It's clear that just setting up the machine isn't enough. It has to adapt to the movement of the land, water, and material. These are the nuances on which gold recovery rates depend. Mitch's precise understanding and the team's immediate implementation of improvements show that teamwork is not just a necessity in this field, but the backbone of success. All this shows that finding gold is a team effort, in which technology, experience, and mutual coordination, all three matter equally. Time is of utmost importance in any large mining operation. And when a vital machine, a wash plant, doesn't arrive on time, the entire season can be at risk. Parker is facing this challenge because his original plant delivery was delayed, so he had to find an immediate alternative solution. Given the gravity of the situation, two options emerged: rent a temporary wash plant or find an alternative that was permanent and could seamlessly integrate into his operations. The rented plant had maintenance and cost issues, so this option was not considered ideal. Meanwhile, negotiations take place with experienced miner Wayne, who has a ready but idle wash plant. Parker offers to lease it for the season, and the deal could prove beneficial to both parties. Parker is confident that his team, which is technically highly skilled, can optimize the plant's efficiency and extract the most gold. 150, 200, 230, 260, 270.05. It wasn't a bad week, Wayne. The exchange reflects the confidence that underlies this collaboration, and how experience and strategy can combine to turn a tough situation into an opportunity. When large machinery is idle on a mining project, it becomes just another cost for an experienced miner like Wayne. So when Parker offered to lease the wash plant, Wayne not only made a financial sense, but also an opportunity to put his equipment to better use. The negotiation between Parker and Wayne was more than just a simple transaction. It was a smart agreement between two experienced professionals that provided a practical benefit to both. Parker got a piece of equipment on time, and Wayne got a chance to generate income from his idle plant. After the stressful days spent waiting for the wash plant, when Parker and Mitch returned to their site in Alaska, they discuss recent accomplishments. Despite Parker's absence, the team performed an extraordinary job and managed to extract more than 575 ounces of gold. worth more than $1 million in the market. This performance proves that the team relies more than just on equipment. Their passion, technical understanding, and ability to deliver results under difficult conditions are their real strengths. While Parker and Mitch are satisfied with this success, they also know the road ahead is long. The goals are still high, and for that reason, Parker is now considering spending more time monitoring mines in Alaska. Success in the mining industry isn't just about machinery and finding gold. It's also about team coordination, planning, and decision-making in a dynamic environment. So when Parker decided to focus on California, Mitch assured him that the existing team was handling the situation well. This interaction proved that there was a culture of trust and clear communication within the team, allowing Parker to continue his other projects remotely. The video highlights many practical aspects of mining, especially the role of logistics. When heavy equipment doesn't arrive on time, production can be severely affected. But Parker's planning and flexibility helped him deal with such problems, as shown by his decision to lease a wash plant, which avoided a production halt. The successful negotiation with Wayne is an example of how important collaboration and mutual understanding are in a difficult industry like mining. The move proved to be beneficial for both parties. Not only did it enable continuity of work, but it also brought business benefits to both. The team maintained output even in Parker's absence, showing that the team is not only self-sufficient, but also prepared to tackle challenges. The hard work, understanding, and coordination that lies behind the glitter of gold is well depicted in this story. This episode shows that success does not come from minerals alone. The right decisions, trustworthy people, and timely, pragmatic decisions are the real capital.